everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be taking you through the step-by-step process of how I create and ship large wedding bundles. These are my multi-sign orders. I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I create the signs and prepare them for shipment. So if you're interested in creating and shipping large wedding bundles, then this is the video for you. These are the exact signs that we're going to be making. The large welcome sign is a 24 by 32 inch size. We're also going to be making 3 reserved table signs, a cards and gifts sign, and then a capture the love #wedding sign. I also threw in a couple of small gifts for the bride and groom that you will see me make in this video too. Let's start by gathering our supplies. I will be using a 24 by 32 inch clear acrylic sheet, 2 8 by 10 clear acrylic sheets, 3 5 by 7 clear acrylic sheets, matte black vinyl, paintbrushes, polyacrylic, some transfer tape, a Cricut cutting machine. The paint color that I'm using today was a color match requested by a customer. They had requested to use the butter pecan color from Folk Art, so I just went over to Lowe's and had them create the same color in the Valspar paint that I love. The first step in my process is always doing my computer work. So this means just getting the design completely ready and sent over to the customer so that they can see a mock-up of their design and approve it before I get started working. So here I'm in my Cricut software getting all of the wording ready to be sent over to the customer. So once I hear back from the customer saying that everything looks good, I will move forward with the next step of the process, which is actually cutting the vinyl. First, I'm going to get my vinyl put down onto my Cricut mats and then send it through the Cricut. The next step is weeding all of the vinyl and applying transfer tape. Next, I will be painting all of these smaller acrylic signs. First, I'm going to be pulling off the paper protective layer on the acrylic, and then I'm going to start painting. The customer wanted all of the signs to be painted with a brushstroke technique. So as you can see here, I'm painting the sign fully, but then leaving the edges clear with just some brushstrokes there to be shown. I will typically let these dry at least 1 to 2 hours and then do a second coat. Sometimes I will leave them overnight, but typically the 8 by 10 signs always need a second coat for sure. The 5 by 7s, sometimes with Valspar paint, I can get away with only doing 1 coat of paint. But I do prefer to do 2 coats, especially because these are wedding signs and they're going to be placed on stands, as you'll see here in a little bit. The stands, I don't want to scratch any of the paint off, so I like to do a nice thick layer of paint. That way the stand does not interfere with the paint and make it chip off at all. Now I'm going to go ahead and start placing the vinyl onto the acrylic pieces. This was one of the gifts that I sent for the bride. This is a hanger tag that she can attach onto the hanger that has her wedding dress on it. And then these I also sent as a small thank you. These are small signs that they can place onto their place setting at their reception. Next, I'm going to start applying the vinyl onto the larger signs. I love this Cricut mat that I have. It helps me so much whenever I'm applying my vinyl onto my acrylic signs. Because I can measure everything out perfectly, even though I can't see all the way through the sign because it's already painted, I can still see around it and all of the inch marks to where I can kind of eyeball of exactly where the vinyl needs to go so that it will be centered. So if you're applying vinyl to acrylic, or if you're applying vinyl onto another flat surface, I definitely recommend this mat to help you get everything right where it needs to be. I love using this tape method whenever I'm applying vinyl onto larger signs. It really helps to hold the vinyl in place while I'm trying to apply it. Now that I've got all the vinyl put onto the acrylics, I'm going to go ahead and do that polyacrylic clear coat. This will really help to protect the paint on the back of this sign. Now that we have all of the smaller signs done, we're going to move over into my dining room / living room, and we're going to get started on the welcome sign. So this sign is so big that the tables in my office will not hold it. I have to use my dining table to do any welcome signs. The first step that I'm doing here is just pulling off all of that protective layer, that paper layer that comes on all acrylic pieces. Because this sign will be painted on the back, I'm going to start by adding the wording to the front. The first thing you'll see me doing here is putting another one of those Cricut mats underneath the sign and measuring it out to make sure I have it perfectly in the middle. This is going to help me get the wording on there just right. Once I have everything all measured out, I'm going to start putting the vinyl onto the acrylic. My favorite way to apply my vinyl onto large signs like this is using that tape method that you saw me do before. All that you do for this is take masking tape and put it right down the middle of the wording. Next, I will just pull up one side of the transfer tape with the vinyl lettering attached to it, and then I'm going to cut off some of that backing paper, as you can see here, and then I'm just going to use my squeegee to lay that vinyl down onto the acrylic. Next, I'm going to remove that masking tape down the middle and really use my squeegee to make sure that that vinyl is good and stuck to the transfer tape. And then I'm going to peel that transfer tape back with the vinyl attached and remove that last piece of the backing paper. And then I'm just going to lay down that transfer tape onto the acrylic and use my squeegee to really adhere that vinyl to the acrylic. The next step is just pulling off the transfer tape. Be sure to be really careful with this part because you don't want to pull up any of the lettering when you're pulling up the transfer tape. If you do start to see some lettering coming up, then just push the transfer tape back down and try to stick that vinyl back down onto the acrylic. Next, we are taking that same buttered pecan paint color and we're going to paint the back of this sign. I'm going to have everything that you see me use in this video linked down in the description box for you guys. If you are interested in anything that I use here, I'm going to try and link as much as I can down there. If you find something that you're interested in that I don't have linked, go ahead and leave a comment and I will shoot you the link for that item. I let that first coat dry for about 2 hours, and then I came in and painted a second coat, as you can see here. Next, I went ahead and started packaging up all of these smaller signs that I made before. I do get questions a lot about the fonts that I use on all of my acrylic pieces. I do get all of my fonts from FABRICA, which is a really wonderful website that you can choose so many fonts from, that if you have a subscription, you can use any fonts on their site completely commercial free, which means that you can sell products that have these fonts on them and you won't get any type of in any trouble or anything for using those specific fonts. And they have some really unique fonts that I don't see anyone else use on acrylic pieces, so I definitely recommend FABRICA. I will have a link down in the description box for you guys if you'd like to check them out, or if you'd like to find some of the fonts that you've seen me use here in this video. The white piece of paper that you see me putting behind each of the signs is actually parchment paper. I buy these really big sheets of parchment paper on Amazon, and then I cut them down to fit the exact size of each sign, and then I just put that on the back of the sign where the paint is. I find that this helps to protect the paint and the polyacrylic from sticking to the cello bag. That is something that I've learned through trial and error, so trust me on this one. Stick some parchment paper behind your signs before you ship them. These are the stands that the customer ordered for all of the signs except for the large welcome sign, of course. These are a beautiful walnut wood, and I love the way they look with this buttered pecan pink color. Once I have all the smaller signs packaged up, I like to put them into one large cello bag together. That way they're not floating all around the shipping box. They're just all together in this one little nice and neat cello bag. And then the only other piece that they'll have is the stands that you see there, and then also the big welcome sign. So it's only 3 pieces that they have to worry about unloading out of the box instead of a bunch of small little signs here and there. Now that I've got all the smaller signs completely wrapped up and bubble wrapped, I'm going to start packaging up the welcome sign. The first thing I like to do here is just take a microfiber cloth and wipe down the sign, getting off any of my little fingerprints or any little smudges here and there. I like to wipe it all the way clean. That way it looks perfect for the customer. And then I'm going to put down some of that same parchment paper on the back to protect the paint from sticking to the paper that you'll see in the next step. Then I just lay down some packing paper, and I will also put parchment paper on the front of the sign to protect it as well. And then I just wrap up the packing paper all around the edges of the sign. Next, I take this really thick bubble wrap that I love. It has the biggest bubbles on it, and I wrap up the welcome sign. Now I'm going to add the smaller signs that I made and the stands right to the middle of my welcome sign that's bubble wrapped, and I'm going to wrap it with some saran wrap. This is going to keep everything in place so that it's not moving all around inside of the shipping box. Whenever the customer opens up the box, they're going to see everything in one place, and I feel like it keeps the smaller signs protected a little more because they're not hitting the bottom of the shipping box or anything. They're just right in the middle, securely wrapped up, nice and neat. Now I'm going to apply some corner protectors to all 4 corners, and then it's finally time to get the signs put into a shipping box. This is actually 2 boxes that I have to kind of maneuver to make it fully cover the sign because it is so large. These are the largest boxes that I could find at the time whenever I was ordering supplies. So I will link these specific ones down below. I get them on Amazon, but I use 2 of these boxes and then half of another box. I use lots and lots of tape, folding over the edges and just getting the sign completely covered by cardboard on all sides. And then as you see here, I have that last piece from a 3rd box put right into the middle to cover up the whole entire back of the sign. It does take a lot of time and effort to really get these signs wrapped up and to where they're not going to break in shipment or get damaged or crack or anything. That is my main goal here. I like to use lots of tape, as much cardboard and bubble wrap as I can. So I just try to do all that I can to keep my signs safe. I've never had any problems or any customers that have told me something has come damaged or that it was messed up in the shipment. The last thing that I like to do is wrap this sign on all 4 edges with saran wrap. This helps to keep everything nice and tidy, and I like to leave the center of the box open. That way I can put the shipping label right there along with a couple of fragile stickers. The next thing that I like to do is actually measure how many inches long and wide the box is, and then of course I will put it on the scale to measure the weight too. Thank you guys so much for tagging along with me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Once again, I will have everything linked down in the description box. Be sure to like this video before you go and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in a new video soon. Bye!